And thank you so very much for tuning in. In a couple of seconds, you will hear an itemized report of all the nonsense, waste, and potential fraud that Democrats are vehemently trying to protect with USAID and other government programs that Doge is taking an axe to. Hit subscribe to this channel. Your super chat, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so very much for the kind words. Also, your super chat is greatly appreciated. Helps me do these live streams, and I can do more live streams with more super chat. I'll do the live streams with or without the super chat, but it's just so appreciated. Thank you so very much. I love you all. I hope you're having a great evening or day, wherever you are in the world, and of course in the U.S. God bless you. I love you. Let's get started. In a couple of seconds, you will hear an itemized report from various different reports of all the nonsense. The Supreme Court decision today was somewhat of a setback, but not really. Paul, thank you. Starting it off, Paul Bartlett, thank you so very much. It was somewhat of a setback. Paul, thank you again for your super chat. Always so greatly appreciated. It was somewhat of a setback, but not really. I want to read you this, and then we'll get to the fact that the money is not, it's only $2 billion. So Doge is saving, what, $105, $110 billion already on their website, doge.gov. But this is just $2 billion that where the work has allegedly been already completed. But I just want to read you this. In a brief unsigned opinion, the court noted that the February 26th deadline for the government to make the payments has already passed. It instructed the U.S. District Judge to clarify what obligations the government must fulfill to ensure compliance. That's a ball. That is a can of worms right there. With the temporary restraining order that the judge has entered in the case, paying attention to how feasible it is for the government to comply with those timelines. This means that the dispute could return to the Supreme Court as an emergency appeal again soon. So the money has not been dispersed. It has not been, the Supreme Court did not tell anyone to disperse the money immediately. It is still caught up in legal wrangling. Let's listen to President Trump right now, and then we'll listen to an even greater itemized report. Hit subscribe, and thank you so very much. Paul, thank you for starting it off. To my super chat, thank you. By the way, this is the state of the Democratic Party. Little placards that say false, save Medicaid. Nobody's going after Medicaid. Musk steals. It's like, no, Musk is making sure Democrats and Republicans don't steal. Then protect veterans, which I agree with 100%, but it's Democrats that had Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney vote for them. It's the Democrats that would send Americans to never-ending military conflict simply because an intelligence report said, we have to do this. The Democrats are the ones that are the most militant. But anyway, let's continue.
Joe Biden especially let the price of eggs get out of control. The egg price is out of control. And we're working hard to get it back down. Secretary, do a good job on that. You inherited a total mess from the previous administration. Do a good job. A major focus of our fight to defeat inflation is rapidly reducing the cost of energy. The previous administration cut the number of new oil and gas leases by 95%. Slowed pipeline construction to a halt, and closed more than 100 power plants. We are opening up many of those power plants right now. And frankly, we have never seen anything like it. That's why on my first day in office, I declared a national energy emergency. As you've heard me say many times, we have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation on earth, and by far. And now I fully authorize the most talented team ever assembled to go and get it. It's called Drill, Baby, Drill. My administration is also working on a gigantic natural gas pipeline in Alaska, among the largest in the world, where Japan, South Korea, and other nations want to be our partner with investments of trillions of dollars each. There's never been anything like that one. It will be truly spectacular. It's all set to go. The permitting is gotten. And later this week, I will also take historic action to dramatically expand production of critical minerals and rare earths here in the USA.
One quick thing, he was phenomenal. I mean, he was phenomenal. You have J.D. Vance, who's on deck in 2028. I mean, Marco Rubio looks good. I mean, DeSantis is a possibility, but I think J.D. Vance, there's no stopping J.D. Vance. Who do Democrats have? AOC? Please, God, please, I pray to God AOC runs. It would be, okay, Harris is like George Washington or JFK or Reagan compared to AOC. Trump, J.D. Vance would win the popular vote by an even greater margin than Trump already did. If AOC went up against J.D. Vance, she would lose in a landmark fashion. So who do Democrats have? Adam Schiff? Great. He should run. It would be the same thing as AOC. Democrats, their political party has essentially evaporated. It was always smoke and mirrors. They don't even have functioning primaries. But who do they have? Who's on deck? President Obama had a speech in 2004. It was like a big, monumental speech. And then in 2008, he was, not the front runner initially, but then he won. And he was always the best that Democrats had. They had Clinton also, but it didn't take long for President Obama to defeat Clinton. He was the up and coming, great politician that could unite the Democratic Party and, at that point, the country. In 2008, he won. Who do Democrats have now? They have nobody. They don't have anyone. There's nobody within their radar that could possibly run in 2028. President Trump has taken a gigantic sledgehammer and completely obliterated the Democratic Party. And this speech, not in a million years could Biden have duplicated. Now, God bless Joe Biden. I mean, he preemptively pardoned his whole family and everyone around him. But, and all the other usual suspects, Falsey, all of them. But you look and, God bless Biden. I don't want to, be rude or, he obviously almost certainly engaged in criminal activity, but I don't want the man to suffer, But obviously Democrats didn't care. He was the poor man going through physical issues, possibly cognitive and mental issues. I say possibly, I'm being generous here, okay? And Democrats all the while lied through their teeth. They were so disingenuous and deceptive and sinister in their lies about Biden. Oh, there's these videos, but it's actually Trump. There are 1 million to 3 million sub channels that were saying that Trump had the cognitive issues and not Biden. And then George Clooney completely refuted that, and everyone just turned on Biden within 3 weeks, the most popular candidate of all time. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, because he's a great president, okay, that's how you go from Bernie Sanders to Trump like I did, because you want an anti-war foreign policy and you want a great economy. We had record low poverty with Trump, and Trump removed Americans from never-ending military conflict. The rebuttal I got from Democrats, well, it's not that big of a deal. Who cares about foreign policy? Trump is mean. That's all they have. It's just a social club. Anyway, I can go on forever. Hit subscribe if you're new to my super chat. Thank you. Let's continue.
To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars.
Now, when he goes through the list, and you'll hear the other lists also with different segments on this live stream. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a morally superior liberal Democrat, whoever stumbles upon this, who knows, who cares, run on this. AOC should simply run. Democrats should simply run in the midterms 2 years from now. They should simply, or a year and a half, whatever, from now, they should simply run on $20 million for Sesame Street in the Middle East. Say it's a good thing. Don't say that Doge and Elon Musk are a menace to society. Say that you want millions for left-leaning ideologies in parts of the world that do not adopt left-leaning and fringe and warped and twisted far-left ideologies. Just run on it. They don't believe in Medicare for all. They're liars. They lie so much, unbelievable. They don't care about single payer. They haven't brought it up. They won't touch a Green New Deal with a 10-foot pole. They don't. It was a resolution. It wasn't legislation. AOC's resolution was not legislation. It wasn't like a bill that they could vote on. They don't believe any of it. They don't believe any of it. That's why you have all these, cataclysmic natural disasters in the West Coast. Well, if you believed in all the all of the science, okay, why didn't you prepare? They don't believe truly in everything from single payer to their views on the planet to foreign policy. They're simply told, okay, back this cause. They back the cause. They don't believe in $20 million for Sesame Street in the Middle East. It just happens. And they think it benefits them politically, so they say, yeah, it's a good thing. Or they just, disregard it, and they're like, okay, millions upon millions for plays, and for cartoons, and for Sesame Street, and for, left-leaning projects around the world. They should simply campaign and run on this. Waylon! We appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much. Waylon Jennings, thank you so very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, Waylon. Thank you so much, Waylon. To my super chat, thank you. Thanks, Waylon. Greatly appreciated. But just really quick, I have to tell everybody this. When you hear all of this, ask yourself why. And Waylon, thank you again. Paul, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. Why won't Democrats run on the following? If you're a Democrat, if you're a liberal, if you're a progressive, if you're a communist, if you're a socialist, okay, be proud of your value system. Actually run and actually say you're going to run on these expenditures that President Trump is stating right now.
And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Perhaps you've heard of it. Perhaps. Which is headed by Elon Musk, who is in the gallery tonight.
Even when they feign and pretend to be, ambivalent or, even then when Elizabeth Warren pretends to disregard the speech, she's not looking at anything really on her phone. Do you think that Elizabeth Warren is actually on her phone? What is she doing? Checking her DNA test that she failed? She's the only person in human history who actually failed a DNA test because she lied about her heritage, which is the epitome of what a Democrat is all about nowadays.
Thank you, Elon. He's working very hard. He didn't need this. He didn't need this. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody here, even this side, appreciates it, I believe. They just don't want to admit that. Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
So run on the 60 million and the 8 million and everything else. AOC and Elizabeth Warren and Bernard Sanders. Yes, we need $8 million for the mice. And we need 60 million for this. And we need 20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. Yes, we do need that. That's very important. And thank you, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for being such a wonderful friend and ally. You were wonderful when you cheated me and then promptly went to the Clinton campaign 50 years ago. Only one person in America or the world even remembers, and that's H.A. Goodman. H.A. Badman, as I call him. They should simply run on this. That's why the Twitter, I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook, I don't have Instagram, but the Twitter profile lives of TikTok. What do they do wrong? All they do is run clips of left-leaning people spouting their ideology. These people are actually courageous and actually believe in what they believe in. What's wrong with that? Oh, when the left when Democrats see an actual image of themselves, they look in the mirror, they're like horrified and mortified. They're like completely embarrassed. That's not Trump's fault. That's not a conservative's fault. You don't believe in anything that you claim to believe in. Run on the 8 million for the mice. Run on it. Run and campaign and say, we need $60 million for Central America or for Latin America. Run on it. It's not difficult. But they'll never do it. It's a complete racket. They don't believe anything. They just... And they try to be a provocative social club / cult. That's it. They don't believe in anything. They claim that anything associated with their alleged value system. They only oppose Trump. That's it. And they have an unmitigated quest for political power. That's it. Trump believes in a wall. He believes in drilling. He believes in lowering the cost of groceries, which you need to lower the cost of diesel fuel. He believes in stopping endless wars, not sending Americans to never-ending military conflict. He believes in all of these things. He believed it in 2016. He believes in 2024, 2025. Democrats don't believe in any one topic. Maybe the issue Roe v. Wade. That's like the one thing they truly believe in. Everything else is just malleable.
$32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her?
$1.9 billion, where the head of the program is a top Democrat that almost won numerous times in her state. So $1.9 billion? Are you kidding me? And so then, see, the thing is, just say it's good. Maybe it's good. Maybe the $1.9 billion is very good for humanity, very good for the planet, very good for business. Run on it. They'll never run on it. They'll never campaign. That's the point. They're embarrassed of these expenditures. That's why they're going after Musk and Trump. A lot of these, all this money either goes directly to Democrats running these organizations, or non-governmental organizations or potentially to political action committees. Okay, they potentially go to political action committees, which then fund Democrats. Okay, and then there's like a million different ways you can siphon the money. So when Democrats or when wonderful, morally superior, highly educated liberals say, "Oh, this money was appropriated by Congress," it's like, no, Congress did not appropriate the money for $20 million to Sesame Street in Iraq, or $1.9 billion headed by a top Democrat. Congress never appropriated that money for these causes. Congress gave the money to USAID or other departments, and then the departments then doled out the money. But that's the gigantic grift here. That's what's going on. That's why Democrats love a gigantic bureaucracy and state, because they benefit financially.
A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia. $14 million for social cohesion in Mali. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. He's a real estate developer. He's done very well. $250,000 to increase vegan local climate action innovation in Zambia. $42 million for social and behavior change in Uganda. $14 million for improving public procurement in Serbia. $47 million for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning. We know what we're doing. We should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation. $1 for improving learning outcomes in Asia. Asia's doing very well with learning.
I want to see Pelosi and the other Democrat here.
We know what we're doing. We should use it ourselves. And $101 million for DEI contracts at the Department of Education. The most ever paid, nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration, all of these scams, and they're far worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about them. They're so bad. Many more have been found out and exposed and swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it. We found hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. And we've taken.
So here you have the Democratic Party. This is the leadership of the Democratic Party. Okay, potentially the most perfect stock profile, investment profile in the history of mankind. Potentially, possibly. Okay, you have in Pelosi's case, well over what? It's been reported $100 million to $300 million, and God bless her in net worth. I mean, if she worked hard to achieve that money, God bless her. By the way, what is she getting paid? $10 million a year as Congresswoman? How on earth did Pelosi get $130 to $300 million? It's been reported. Who knows? Maybe she doesn't have the $300 million. The point is, she's potentially going to be under investigation by President Trump's Department of Justice for alleged insider trading. Let's continue.
Taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things. Taking back a lot of that money. We got it just in time. This is just the beginning. The Government Accountability Office, a federal government office, has estimated annual fraud of over $500 billion in our nation, and we are working very hard to stop it. We're going to. We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors and people that we love rely on. Believe it or not, government databases list 4.7 million Social Security members from people aged 100 to 109 years old.
So there's always a petulant rebuttal. I read them all. The fact-checking nonsense. Well, we spoke to this official, we spoke to this professor, and this person said that it's very likely simply an algorithm issue. Okay, so no, there's no people that are 200 years old. They're not getting paid. And it's like, they might not be in the system, the Social Security system, where a 200-year-old person gets paid. The problem, however, is we're not certain that if there's a 200-year-old person on the Social Security, and you need Social Security, I'm not saying you have to have Social Security. If anything, with AI, you're probably going to have universal basic income. You're probably going to need to have some level of that because robots, it'll be Terminator, and the robots will take over, and there won't be enough jobs for 350, 60 million Americans. But the point is, that's why, another reason why you probably want to protect the border. But anyway, you're not certain if a 200-year-old person that is listed within one part of the Social Security database isn't able to, in another part of the database or program, to receive a check. Nobody is certain of that. Even if there's $8 million in savings, I've heard Democrats refer to it as pocket change. It's not pocket change. It won't be just 8 million. It's likely to the tune of tens of millions, possibly a billion, or hundreds of millions. Okay, sorry, maybe more. But isn't it? This would never have happened ever in the history of the country. What Trump is doing now would never have taken place. It would never. And by the way, you're very likely going to see Democrats. You know how they're just so wonderful at, winning last second. Potentially, possibly, this might impact, let's just say, the funding or the campaigns of these Democrats. Let's continue. Potentially, possibly. I'm allowed to say that, aren't I? A wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats. Can I say potentially and possibly? Like the Honorable James Comey would always say, potentially. Did Clinton servers that, when she used a 2009 cell phone, was it hacked by the world? Potentially, possibly.
It lists 3.6 million people from ages 110 to 119. I don't know any of them. I know some people that are rather elderly, but not quite that elderly. 3.47 million people from ages 120 to 129. 3.9 million people from ages 130 to 139. 3.5 million people from ages 140 to 149.
Why are there millions of people aged 140 to 149? Let's say there's no fraud. Let's say there's no waste. Can Pelosi or anyone within the Democratic Party, AOC, anyone, can they answer why? Because you have like the quote unquote journalists who are basically activists, and a fact check now is a 10,000 word onslaught where you, within the bottom of the 10,000 word diatribe, there's like, there is potential for, there's maybe potential for the 140-year-old. There's maybe the potential for the 140-year-old to get payment, but there's no evidence. The fact that you have a 140-year-old person, that in and of itself is justification for Doge and Musk. We shouldn't even have this. This shouldn't even be a thing. It shouldn't even be allowed. And not until Trump and Doge and Musk are we finding this out. But again, if you want to run and campaign on 140-year-old people potentially getting government checks, then campaign on that. Again, they don't believe anything. It's just an unmitigated quest for power with among morally superior liberal Democrats who are highly educated.
And money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck. Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does, and it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old. We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. $5 million people from ages 140 to 149. And money is being paid to many of them, and we're searching right now. In fact, Pam, good luck.
So I want to find out, I just want to hear again, how many millions of people ages 160? Let's listen to this.
Good luck. You're going to find it. But a lot of money is paid out to people because it just keeps getting paid, and nobody does, and it really hurts Social Security and hurts our country. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old.
You have over 100,000 Americans on the Social Security database over 160 years old. The rebuttal, and I've read the absurd fact-checking articles that are like 20,000 words. Well, it's just an algorithm issue. And then the typical wonderful liberal rebuttal, no, 160-year-olds aren't getting money. And then we find out eventually that the petulant, arrogant rebuttal, no, Trump is wrong again. Well, he's a two-term president now, won the popular vote, and now Doge is finding there's 160-year-olds who potentially could get government checks. So why is there a 160-year-old? Why does any algorithm or software allow for this? That's the question. Forget about whether there's fraud or waste. Maybe the 160-year-old doesn't get a government Social Security check. Why is it a thing? Does this exist? That's a question that needs to be asked by Democrats.
We have a healthier country than I thought, Bobby. Including, to finish, 1,039 people between the ages of 220 and 229, one person between the age of 240 and 249, and one person is listed at 360 years of age. More than 100 years older than our country.
He so should have made a reference to Pelosi at that point. Could you imagine? And Nancy Pelosi, she's the one. She's the 400-year-old right there. Everybody, look at. Oh my God, it would have been amazing.
But we're going to find out where that money's going, and it's not going to be pretty. By slashing all of the fraud, waste, and theft we can find, we will defeat inflation, bring down mortgage rates, lower car payments and grocery prices, protect our seniors, and put more money in the pockets of American families.
So here is another accounting of what's going on. Again, all of these articles written, honestly, Doge is just cutting contracts. It's really bad. People are going to lose their lives because departments are short-staffed. It's like, well, why would you make that leap of logic? Do you mean the department? As a journalist for a magazine that writes about music, that a department is short-staffed because Musk fired some people or terminated contracts, so 100% without a shadow of a doubt, then there will be this terrible, terrible outcome. No, but none of these journalists know that there's going to be a terrible outcome. If anything, it protects us from possible bankruptcy in the future. The country, our credit rating was reduced. The United States of America's credit rating by one credit agency was reduced. That's a bad thing, okay? You don't want your country to go bankrupt, but let's continue. And again, every expenditure that you hear, Democrats should be proud of and simply run on.
Began years ago when we were trying to figure out what they were doing with our American taxpayer dollars that were going to support humanitarian efforts in Ukraine. So I wanted to know exactly how those dollars were being spent. We got all kinds of threats from USAID because I was trying to exercise my oversight capacity in Congress. That's
just shocking.
It is a nightmare.
Why are they intimidating a United States senator? So, again, you hear all this nonsense. Trump pressured people. He needs to be imprisoned. He pressured people. When Bill Maher brings up, I like Bill Maher, but Bill Maher, well, Trump pressured people. He committed a crime. Oh, okay. When these people were pressuring Senator Ernst, did they commit a crime? So how can you have a taxpayer-funded department threaten a U.S. senator? It's called hubris, arrogance. It's called the height, not only of entitlement, but these organizations had unmitigated political and financial influence and power. And now Elon Musk and Trump are taking a gigantic wrecking ball to all of them. And again, the Supreme Court decision today did not stop any of this. It only brought it back to the district court in D.C. for greater transparency. And then Trump and Musk can take it back again to the U.S. Supreme Court saying, well, wait a second. The lower court wants us to give, millions of dollars for, let's say, experiments on, whatever, mice. Okay. This is not, and then you could look at, and there's potential laws being broken. So, if there's a project, for example, that we find out about that doesn't abide by international laws, for example, the Supreme Court's not going to back that, even if the money has already been, even if the work has already been completed. But let's continue.
They're trying to follow that money and to understand what it's actually being used for.
Okay, that's the chair of the Doge caucus in the Senate, Senator Joni Ernst, talking to Elon Musk about abuse of taxpayers at USAID, and that upwards of 50% of USAID's money went toward overhead for rent and salaries and junkets and entertainment expenses. But they threatened her. She's got a constitutional right to.
And hit subscribe if you're new to this channel. If 50% of the billions upon billions of dollars that go to USAID is for things like rent and salaries, that's a big problem. That's a big problem, because then you get a lot of people employed by USAID who potentially, possibly donated to Democrats. Okay? Again, this isn't rocket science. You're giving billions of dollars to people beholden to the Democratic Party, likely beholden. You're giving billions of dollars to departments run by people very likely, potentially, and possibly beholden to the Democratic Party. That's why Democrats and media are going to bat for all of these agencies. Okay? You better believe if it was Biden cutting agencies linked to the Republican Party, oh my God, Democrats would be so happy.
To do oversight. Joining us now from House Financial Services, Congressman Dan Muser. Congressman, here's what we found. Show the list of what's going on at USAID. Congressman, they wasted $20 million to recreate Sesame Street in Iraq. $9 million meant for Syria went to al-Qaeda terrorists. And aid money meant for Ukraine went to trips for models and designers to Paris and London Fashion Week, also to New York City. So this is what Joni Ernst is trying to stop. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what, you just hit the tip of the iceberg on that list, Liz. The waste.
By the way, if countries need contraceptives around the world, then buy their own contraceptives. Like, why do you have to give it to 15 million to you know who for? I mean, it's like, what is going on here? Simply run on that. If AOC wants to run for president, she should simply say that the $15 million was needed for you know what. You know, Pelosi should be like, 15 million for that organization. Well, where are they? There's no CVS in Kabul. So they should just say that. Just go ahead and say that. That's it. Run on it. If you believe it, own it. This is a Democratic Party foreign policy. Own it.
That has come out of USAID, the unbelievable level of taxpayer dollars that goes into USAID. You know, I was on Foreign Affairs last term, and you know, I had Samantha Power in hearings, and we were asking the questions, and I was asking, why don't we try subsidizing, at least, if we're going to do that, natural gas in Africa, and they were pushing solar panels. This was all about ideology. It's horrific, and this is exactly why DOJ members were not allowed in, and why we elected President Trump, we're scrutinizing these things far better and being allowed to. There was no transparency. There was no openness. We couldn't get the details. Well, the details are coming out, and unfortunately, the American people aren't going to like them, but they're going to be stopped.
Yeah, it's corruption. What do you make of this? President Trump reportedly putting the majority of USAID DC staffers on leave. You know, USAID was created at the height of the Cold War to fight communism and do liberal market capitalism. But Senator Ernst said that they threatened her staff when she started to look into their corruption. That's her constitutional oversight duty. I mean, the media and Democrats are trying to claim that USAID is going to starve women and children. No, it's about stopping corruption and stopping left-wing activist groups and consultants and ideologies and getting the money to women and children.
Liz, there's so much corruption. Every department that I look into, every agency, there's situations like this. Rubio is now in charge of USAID. They did the right thing in closing it down. We have to correct it. That's what we were elected to do. It'll happen, and we're all seeing President Trump's doing it sooner rather than later.
So again, simply run on this. You're going to hear another list. If Democrats are upset with Doge and Musk, and I've read all the articles, so you don't have to. Oh my God, this is going to hurt a whole bunch of people. It's going to hurt the country, and this is not the way to take care of. There's no waste found. There's no fraud found. They don't. Not one article has addressed the $20 million in Sesame Street in the Middle East, or the 50+ million, or the millions for all these different fringe left-leaning ideologies. Not one person, not one journalist has addressed the actual expenditures that Musk has discovered, because they can't. they can't defend. All of the fact-checking articles pertaining to USAID do not mention the actual discoveries. They simply say, well, I mean, the Doge website's so vague. It's like, these are reported, these have been already reported by Fox News and others. It's public domain, public knowledge. We know that there was $20 million for Sesame Street. So is that good? Morally superior, highly educated liberal journalists. Do you think we should spend that money, Democratic politician? If so, simply say these words. Yes, as a Democrat, I think we should spend $20 million on Sesame Street. I think that we should spend, as a Democrat, millions upon millions upon millions of dollars for development here and there linked to left-leaning ideologies. So then they should campaign and accept and acknowledge these expenditures. They're embarrassed of them. That's why they move the goalpost and do the usual way. We haven't really found any waste. I mean, my God, what's going on here? They're apoplectic, as always, pertaining to the wrong things. If indeed they think that USAID is worth saving, then they should defend the expenditures. End of story. They will never do so because they don't believe in, they never truly believe in the things they claim to believe in. Here's an example. We can go ahead and list some more expenditures right here.
Billions and billions. Meanwhile, Americans need help here. They spent a whopping $20 million on a Sesame Street show in Iraq, $45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma.
Again, $56 million to boost tourism in Middle Eastern countries. Okay, so then say that $56 million to boost tourism is a good expenditure. We as Democrats want $56 million sent for tourism in the Middle East. Just say that. Just say that. $40 million to build schools in other countries. Then say that. Don't just simply say Musk and Doge and horrible. That's $100 million for tourism and schools right there. $96 million. You see it on your screen. Okay. Why can't AOC or the squad, why can't Pelosi, why can't Schiff, why can't any of these people simply say we needed $96 million for tourism and schools in the Middle East? We think it's a good thing. Make the case. In addition to the 20 million, so 96 million, 20 million, what, 106, almost $120 million, including the Sesame Street.
$2 million on trans-led organizations and sex change operations. Is this how you want your hard-earned tax dollars to be spent? $520 million for Green New Deal investments in Africa. $1.5 million was sent to So
$45 million for scholarships in Burma. Okay, then say it's a good thing. If you're a morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat, okay, you're this wonderful, vanguard of truth and justice, then simply say, yes, we believe $45 million for scholarships in Burma is a very important thing. And here's why. Just own it. I mean, from Esquire to Rolling Stone to the Atlantic to the New York Times to the Washington Post. This can name 20 other publications. None of them are going to say we need $45 million for scholarships in Burma because they don't believe that Musk and Doge are actually doing something bad. They have an instinctual, they have a visceral reaction to losing political power. They don't truly believe that Trump and Doge are doing bad things. They don't really believe anything, that any of this money should really be spent for scholarships or tourism. Many of them actually agree with Trump, but they don't want Trump doing it because it takes political power away from them. 520, by the way, we should invest in Africa. I believe that. We should. We need to make sure, though, that the money goes to corporations, or we need to make sure that the money goes to corporations helping the people of those nations. So I do believe in investing. We shouldn't invest billions in Africa, if you ask me, but it should be done through Congress in a specific bill, not through USAID with organizations we don't really know.
Serbia to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then the fun stuff. 70 grand for, Ireland to produce a DEI musical. 50 grand for a transgender opera in Colombia.
Again, if the 50 grand or 47 grand is important, AOC and others should say, we need this money. It's very important for U.S. foreign policy.
30 grand for a transgender comic book in Peru, 2.5 million for electric cars in Vietnam, another 1 million for so-called clean energy in Africa, 44 million for Venezuela and their migrants in Colombia. Millions more go to Gaza, ended up in the hands of Hamas and other terrorists. Nearly 5 million went to the Eco Health Alliance. Oh, what? So they can fund a lab in Wuhan working on gain-of-function research? Not very smart. We could go on and on.
Why are we still funding that lab? Can we ask that question? Is that a big problem? So you can never speculate or ask any question or be suspicious or incredulous in any way, shape, or form with Democrats. Otherwise, it's conspiratorial.
As you can see on your screen, but it would take us pretty much the entire night to read through the list of billions of wasted taxpayer dollars. Now, keep in mind, according to the Daily Wire, why are Democrats freaking out? 97% of all employee donations from USAID workers, they went to the Democrats.
And now we find out why they are livid and outraged, and the apoplectic reaction is 10 times the usual reaction. Okay, it's almost 100% of the political contributions from USAID employees went to Democrats. Okay, there you go. There you go. And potentially some of these salaries are in the hundreds of thousands. Okay, so there you go. That's the problem. We're not even getting to non-governmental organizations, which Elon Musk says there's tens of thousands of. You have a Byzantine, never-ending labyrinth of tens of thousands. I think he even mentioned like hundreds of thousands, even a million. It was on Joe Rogan. And by the way, there's no rebuttal from Democrats. It's just simply, oh, it's not that bad. Like, well, just, yes, say that the non-governmental organizations are good things. Like I said, Democrats will never say what they're defending is a good thing. They'll just say that, Musk shouldn't be doing it. Well, do you agree with these expenditures? That's not the point. You shouldn't be doing it. Like, no, that is the point. Defend the expenditures, defend the political contributions. That's the issue. Okay, it's a gigantic racket where all the money is funneled back into the Democratic Party.
And by the way, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Doge is just getting started. Buckle up. Plans are already underway for the Department of Education, the Department of State, the Department of Defense. Elon Musk recently said when there is an important task, he will keep working until that job is done or die trying. Naturally, Democrats, they're not too happy. They don't want government accountability. They don't want limited government. They don't want to return to constitutional order. They want the power that comes with.
When you see Elizabeth Warren pretending to be angry, she's just pretending. At this point right now, they have been angry for 8 years nonstop. So right now, it's just performance art. They're not truly angry. They're performing because it's the only thing they have. They have tried to sell this nonsense that Trump is a bigot, he's a despot, he's a totalitarian, he's a Kremlin operative. These are all conspiracy theories. The Democrats push the most absurd conspiracy theories of all time. Then they pontificate about others. But Biden was totally fine mentally, that Trump was the one with mental issues. These are all blatant, absurd, outlandish lies. Trump tried to rebel against the country. He rebelled against the nation. None of these things are true. So now they have enough people who they say that Trump riled up his base. Nobody has been more riled up and indoctrinated than wonderful, morally superior, highly educated Democrats throughout the country. They don't need a change. I was thinking about it. They don't care. They lost by several million votes throughout the country. We'll just win again eventually. They don't care. They're going to continue with the same performance art because it works for them. But they're not going to win. I don't think they're going to win for the next 8 years in terms of a presidential election. They might not even get the midterms. They might not even get the House in the midterms.
With that money, the influence they think they have with your money. They haven't been this worked up in a while. They were out of the denial and grief stage, and now they're back to the anger stage when it comes to all things Donald Trump. Moments ago, Elizabeth Warren had a full public meltdown while ranting and raving about Elon Musk. You got to love this. Take a look.
No one elected Elon Musk.
No one has to elect Elon Musk, genius. He's part of the executive branch in an executive order as an advisor to the president to cut waste and fraud, which you used to be against. But you didn't even back Bernie Sanders. By the way, Elizabeth, thank you so much for voting for me in 2016. That's right. You backed me over Clinton. Oh, what's that? Oh, you didn't back me. Oh, that's right. You backed Hillary. Hillary didn't want Medicare for all. She didn't want anything that you claim to want. But you know what? Let's let bygones be bygones. Trump is the most dangerous president that's ever lived and ever will live. I know this because I was told by the Democrats to say this, as they cheat me every 4 years. And they don't even have functioning primaries, but I'm not going to say that to anybody because I've been told not to. I'm just going to sit with mittens like I did 4 years ago, and they're going to make little memes of me.
To nothing.
That's right.
Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk.
And not one Democrat has to. Civics 101. Oh, well.
Not one Republican in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one independent in America voted for Elon Musk. Not one liberal.
Not one left-handed pitcher for a junior college voted, and we can go on forever. Not one, artist that just wrote a poem about the moon voted for. We can go on forever. What's your point?
Libertarian in America voted for Elon Musk. Damn, not one vegetarian in America voted for Elon Musk.
There is one vegetarian who voted for Elon Musk. Voted.
And yet, Elon Musk is seizing the power that belongs to the American people. We are here to fight back. He's seizing $20 million. There's a great line, by the way, for Sesame Street. Seize this. It's in History of the World. I don't know. I don't even want to get the algorithm. It says seize this, and then it's whatever. It's History of the World, okay? You have to watch it. I'm sure you have. If you're watching my channel, you've very likely, I'm sure, watched History of the World at some point in your life. Great movie. But again, this is all performance art. It's meaningless. It means nothing. He doesn't have to be voted on. It's like there's billions in absurd waste and spending on things like Elizabeth Warren should simply have said, and we need $20 million for Sesame Street and contraceptives and tourism, $100+ million or $200 million. There's no CVS in these countries. Where are they supposed to get their contraceptives? That's what she should have said. And she should have defended all the expenditures. How on earth are you going to have these types of plays and operas if we don't fund them? Well, then there you go. Then defend the expenditure. Don't just say that Elon Musk wasn't voted. He doesn't have to be voted on for anything.
You fight back, Elizabeth, because guess what? What you don't like is Elon Musk was appointed by the president, duly elected by the people, and he is exposing all the waste, fraud, abuse, and frankly, outright stealing of American taxpayer dollars, and he's going to clean it up, whether you like it or not. And it gets worse. One Democratic congresswoman claiming we are now at war and it's time to shut down Washington, D.C. and fight in the streets. Maybe those hats from 2017 are about to come back. I don't know. Take a look.
We will not take this. We will fight back. And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and God damn it, shut down the Senate.
And that hurt the algorithm. Why did I play this clip? Why?
$250 million into a campaign, and they've been given full access to the Department of Treasury of the United States of America. We are at war.
We're at war? Wow. Most Democrats.
If that's the case, Trump is Napoleon, or no, George S. Patton, Washington. Trump is Schwarzkopf. And Democrats are, I don't even know. You can Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther. This is, if it's an actual political battle, they just got completely obliterated politically last night by Trump. Let's just really quickly listen to this.
USAID should have been disbanded years ago. Now, the agency's top recipient of taxpayer dollars, that has been plagued by allegations of massive waste, fraud, and abuse for decades. And these agencies that benefited rushed to settle with the DOJ after Trump was elected. The largest for-profit contractor for USAID agreed to pay the U.S. government $3.1 million. And that was related to fraudulent billing by a Nigerian subcontractor for a global health supply chain project. And now with the USAID offices at least temporarily shut, with all the dead weight laid off, just imagine how deep this rot goes. Now, the Biden years were just an excuse to spread money around to radicals here, there, and everywhere. In 2023, USAID sponsored scores of DEI events here and abroad, including my personal favorite. I just Googled this and found it today. One was called Celebrating Women in Waste Management.
Ah, yes. The renowned Women in Waste Day. The global women recognizing women's role in waste. Women, this is a fantastic international event. I don't know if I really want to celebrate it. I don't know how they celebrate it. Women in Waste Day. Fantastic. Nothing better than, again, Democrats should simply say, we need to recognize Women's Waste Day. That's it. Run on it. In 2022, Trump and Musk, they took down Women's Waste Day. Now women have no day for recognizing their role in waste.
With panels including USAID staff with these titles: Senior Gender Advisor for Environment and Climate, Social and Behavior Change and Gender Director, and Gender Specialist. Well, you get
TBJ, thank you. Thank you, TBJ. Greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. I thank you for the kind words.
Get the idea. This is why it's so critical that DOJ scour every inch of our government, every line of the Federal Register, every penny that goes out the door.
FL, thank you. Here's some of my future Doge refund. FL, thank you so very, very much. TBJ, FL, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated, everybody.
I really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Remember, it's your money. You earned it. Don't let anyone else waste it. And also that Doge notifies the president when staff and spending is unnecessary, when it's duplicative, when it's fraudulent, even destructive. And of course, when it's not specifically required by law, then just eliminate it. Yeah, and that will inevitably mean entire agencies are zeroed out. Please zero them out. And with the runaway agendas, the spending of USAID, it's long past time to close down all of it. Congressional oversight, it already found millions of USAID funds going to administrative costs alone.
We got all kinds of threats from USAID because I was trying to exercise my oversight capacity in Congress. My staff and I had estimated was that 30 to 40% of the USAID's awards would go to indirect costs. So their overhead, their rents, employees, things like that.
What are they living in, the Taj Mahal?
Oh, that's a good one. You know what? This is so. Where are they living in the Taj Mahal? So this is the thing, okay? Again, simply say, we need more rent. We need money for rent. 30 to 40%. And they, again, the passion, keep that passion, as the phrase goes, keep that energy to defend the rent. We need these contracts for rent for USAID buildings, But this is hilarious.
But for decades, both the left and some checked out Republicans let the agency basically just have its way, with little to no one looking over their shoulders. And during the Biden and Obama years, the gender, the climate, the race activists, they just went to town.
They went totally crazy what they were doing, and the money they were giving to people that shouldn't be getting it, and to agencies and others that shouldn't be getting it. It was a shame. So they're tremendous fraud.
And as anyone who's spent time on a farm knows, when you fill the pig trough every day and you fill it with better and better food, well, the animals, they expect that food no matter what. And when they don't get their food, especially at the required time, they start squealing.
We talked about.
I don't know what Elon Musk's motivations are. I don't know what.
So this is another failed strategy by Democrats. Elon Musk. Most people admire or think he's wonderful or think he's interesting, or they're not frightened of him. Okay, most people admire or or they're okay with Trump. They don't despise Trump the way Democrats do. Okay, he won the popular vote because he's far more popular than people think. But now they're going on, Elon Musk is scary. And nobody thinks that. They're actually frightened of the Democrats. The Democrats are very frightening to most people.
What his purposes are, but they've got nothing to do with what has been lawfully adopted by the people of the United States of America through the Congress of the United States. We're going to defend.
The freak, thank you. Yeah, I mean, similar. He wanted to scrutinize money going to that country. So, yes.
USAID all the way.
Well, first of all,
again, he should have simply said $20 million for Sesame Street and millions more for contraceptives and tourism in the Middle East all the way. That's what he simply should have said. Not in a million years would they say this. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, as I stated, and hit subscribe if you're new to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. As I stated, okay, the judge is expected to hold a hearing on the AIDS group's motion of a preliminary injunction, which, if granted, would suspend the freeze on foreign assistance funding going forward on Thursday, March 6th. This means that the dispute could return to the Supreme Court as an emergency appeal again soon. Once you get a more specific, once you get more transparency, once you get, the district court now has to make certain leaps in terms of, his ruling. Okay, now the Supreme Court might say, yeah, that's not the jurisdiction. I don't think the district court can, unilaterally unfreeze money meant for contraceptives in other countries that could potentially, go to organizations we don't want it to go to. Anyway, hit subscribe. Thank you so much. God bless you all. To my super chat, thank you so much, everybody. Great live stream. It's been a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. I'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Hit subscribe. I'm starting to do uploads in the morning about 10 a.m. Eastern. So make sure to check the channel every morning. If you want to also, my Patreon is in the comment section, or it's on hagoodman.com. And